Hello students, I Sunita Pawar, lecturer of ENC department, HAPN Trust Polytechnic, Nirsoshi. Today we will see the fourth unit of computer, fourth unit of DCN, that is a data communication and networking. Fourth unit is a transmission control protocol and internet protocol, that is a TCP/IP. So on this chapter also you are getting the questions up to 30 marks. Now first we will see the TCP/IP model. In this TCP/IP model, there is a total 5 layers are there. So first one layer is the physical layer, second data link layer, third internet layer, fourth transport layer, fifth application layer. Explanation about the each one layer. First is the physical layer. The physical layer covers the interface between the data transmission device and a transmission network. Second, data link layer. The data link layer is very similar to the other network models. This covers media access and control, that is a MAC strategy. That is who can send data and when or how much, etc. It can be controlled using the MAC. Third layer is the internet layer or a network layer is there. The internet layer is very important from the context communication over the internet. This layer is concerned with the format of a datagram as in the internet protocol and also the mechanism of forwarding datagram from the source computer to the destination via one or more routers. Other protocols in this layer are resolution protocol, that is the ARP, address resolution protocol. Next RARP, that is a reverse address resolution protocols, and internet message protocol, that is a ICMP is there. Then next one is the fourth one layer of the TCP/IP, that is the transport layer is there. There are two main protocols in this layer: transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol, that is a UDP, and a TCP is there. The TCP ensures that the communication between the sender and receiver is reliable, error-free, and in sequence. The IP layer sends individual datagram through various routers, choosing a path for each datagram each time. Last is the application layer. The application layer allows an end user to run. This application layer allows an end user to run various applications on internet and use the internet in different ways. These applications are file transfer protocol, that is a FTP, travel file transfer protocol, email, remote login, and worldwide web is there. So these are the different layers in the TCP/IP. Now we will see the mapping of a TCP/IP protocol with the OSI model. So we all of you know that one. In OSI model there is a total 7 layers are present, and in TCP/IP there is a total 5 layers are there. So in this TCP/IP physical layer and data link layer is the same as a OSI model only. So in that the same thing is there, that is the physical layer and data link layer are the same as a OSI model. In network layer they have the different protocols are used in the TCP/IP, that is ICMP protocol is there, ARP protocol is there, and RARP protocols are used in the network layer of the TCP/IP. The next transport layer. Transport layer is also same as a OSI model only. So in this TCP/IP they are using the TCP and UDP, these two protocols in the transport layers. At the end, which is the application layer is there of TCP/IP, is combine three layers of a OSI model. So in OSI model, there is a three layers are there. That is a session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. These all three layers are combined in the TCP/IP protocol, and it becomes the only one layer, that is the application layer. So that is the mapping of TCP/IP protocols with OSI model. Now we will see the internet addresses. So at the each one layer of the protocol, they are using the different addresses. So an internet employing TCP/IP protocols uses a four layer of addresses. One is the physical or link address, second logical or IP address, third port address, and fourth specific address is there. So in the below diagram, they are showing the for the each one layer they are mentioned here different addresses. So for the data link layer and physical layer, they are using the physical address only. For network layer, they are using the logical address. For transport layer, they are using the port address. And for the application layer, they are using the specific addresses. Now first see the physical address. The physical address, also known as a link address, the address of a node defined by its LAN or a WAN. The physical address in the lowest level address. The physical address included in the frame by the data link layer. The size and format of physical layer addresses vary depending on the network. It has authority over the network. Most local area networks use a 48-bit physical addresses written as a 12 hexadecimal digits. Every byte is separated by a colon as shown below. So this one is a data represent this address representation, that is a physical address representation of the host. Second is the in these physical addresses, the physical address can be assigned in the computer following three methods. One is the static addressing. In this method, the physical address is hard coded in the network interface card, that is in the NIC card of the computer. This address does not change and is provided by the network hardware manufacturer. Configurable address. In this method, the physical address is configured when computers installed by the end user. Next, dynamic address. In this method, every time the computer boosts, the server computer dynamically assigned its physical address may be changes. This means that physical address changes every time a computer is switched on and switched off. Second, logical addresses. Logical addresses are independent of underlying physical networks. Since different networks can have different address formats, hence a universal address system is required which can identify each host uniquely irrespective of underlying physical networks. A standard specifies that each computer on the internet be assigned a unique 32-bit number called Internet Protocol Address, or in short IP addresses. Third, port addresses. The IP addresses and physical addresses are necessary for data to travel from source to the destination host. But communication process involves telnet and FTP, which requires addresses in TCP/IP architecture. The table assigned to a process is called port addresses. In TCP/IP, the port addresses is 16 bits. Fourth is the specific addresses. Specific addresses are designed by user for some applications, such as email addresses and universal resource locators, that is a URL. The first example defines the recipient of an email, and a second example used to find a document on the World Wide Web. The specific addresses to get to the corresponding port and logical addresses by the sending computers. Parts of IP addresses. The IP addresses consist of three parts: class, a prefix, and a suffix. Prefix denotes the physical network to which the computer is attached. The suffix identifies an individual computer on that network. For this, each physical network on the internet is assigned a unique network number. This is a prefix portion of the IP address. The host number denotes the suffix. Host is just another name for a computer on the internet. The assignment of a host number can be done locally. So these are the parts of the IP addresses. Now we will see the different classes of IP addresses. So here total 5 classes are available here. So in that, in the class A there is a 0 to 8 bits are used. Then in the class B there is a 0 to 16 bits are used. In class C 0 to 24 bits are used. Class D 0 to 31 bits are used, and class C is a whole reserved, but just only starting bits are the different here. So in class A 0 is there, class B 10 is there, again like that we are getting the changes. Class A address. In class A address, the first 8 bit identify the network number and the remaining 24 bits indicate the host number within the network. Class A address have 8 bit mask. The first bit of their IP address is set to the 0. That is the class A. The portion of the address allowing the maximum of 128 networks, the ranging from 000 to 127,000. Class B. In this class B, the first 16 bits identified the network number and remaining bits for the indicator host number. Class B address have the 16-bit network marks is that starting 2 bit is set to the 10 and remaining for 14 bits portion for the network portion and address. So it's allowing the maximum networks are the 16,384 networks can be connected. Class C address. In class C address, the first 24 bits identify the network number and remaining 8 bits indicate the host number within the network. Class C have 24-bit network mask is there, and in that the first starting 3 bits is set to the 110 and remaining 21 bits for the network portion of the address. So it allows a maximum 20,97,152 networks. Class D. In this class D, 32 bits used as a network address. There are no host address within the class D address space. Class D addresses have their first 4 bits is set to 1110. Class D addresses are 32-bit network addresses are there. Means all the values within the range of 224.0.0.0 to 239.255.255.255 are used uniquely identify multicast addresses. Class E. In class E addresses, the first 5 bits indicate the value of 11110. Class E addresses are reserved for the future testing purpose. Now we will see the dotted decimal notation of IP addresses. Dotted decimal notation. It is a very difficult to talk about IP addresses as a 32-bit binary numbers in regular communication. For example, an IP address could be 0. Clearly, it is just not possible to remember such addresses for a human. Computers would work happily with this scheme. Therefore, the dotted decimal notation is used for our convenience. The 32-bit are divided into 4 octet bytes. Each octet contains 8 bits. Each octet is then translated into a equivalent decimal value, and all the 4 octets are written one after the other separated by dots. Thus the above address becomes, we can write like this: 15.255.0.8. Like this, we can remember this address easily with a dotted decimal. Note that the lowest value that an octet can take is 0 in decimals in binary, and the highest is decimal 255, that is all ones in the binary. Consequently, IP addresses when written in dotted decimal notation range from 00002 to 255.255.255.255. It is a maximum range is there. It is easier to remember decimals than binary numbers. Therefore, dotted decimal notations are used to represent the IP addresses. Now we will see the difference between IPv4 and IPv6. First, IPv4. IPv4. IP version 4. IPv4 means IP version 4 is there. IPv6 means IP version 6 is there. IPv4 32 bits are there. In 6, 128 bits are used. 5 classes are available in the IPv4, that is A, B, C, D and E. In IPv6 does not define any classes. In IPv4, single header format for all datagrams. IPv6, many types of headers are used in the IPv6. IPv4, no concept of address types. In IPv6, there are 3 types of address types are there, or concepts are used, that is unicast, multicast and anycast. In IPv4, dotted decimal notation are used to represent the IP address. In IPv6, colon hexadecimal notations are used to represent the IP address. So below one it given the exam here. IPv4 is slow in process. IPv6 is fast as compared to the IPv4. IPv4 cannot support real-time applications. IPv6 supports real-time applications. IPv4 no security at network layer. IPv6 all types layer provides security at network layer. In IPv4 broadcast message are available. In IPv6 broadcast messages are not available. So these are the differences between the IPv4 and IPv6. On this topic you are getting the questions for the difference for 5 marks. Now we will see the mapping of static and dynamic addresses. So first we will see the mapping. The delivery of a packet to a host or a router requires 2 levels of addressing, physical and logical. We need to be able to map a physical address to its corresponding logical address and vice versa. This can be done by using either a static or dynamic mapping. So first we will see the static mapping. Static mapping involves in the creation of table that associates a logical address, a physical address. This label is stored in each machine on the each machine. Each machine that knows the IP address of another machine but not its physical address can look it up in the table. This has some limitations because physical addresses may change in the following ways. A machine could change its NIC card, resulting in a new physical address. In some lands, the physical addresses changes every time the computer is turned on. A mobile computer can move from one physical network to another, resulting in a change in physical addresses. So, to implement these changes, a static mapping table must be updated periodically. Second, dynamic mapping. In dynamic mapping, each time a machine knows one of the two addresses, either logical or physical, it can use the protocol to find the other one, that is in dynamic mapping. By using the any one of the address, they can find out the other one address in the protocols. Now we'll see the explanation of address resolution protocol, that is ARP. The process of obtaining the physical address of the computer based on its IP address is called as a address resolution protocol. Need of the ARP. This is required because at the hardware level, computers identify each other based on the physical addresses hard-coded on their NICs. Networking hardware demands that a datagram contain a physical address. It has no clue to the IP address. To solve this problem, the address resolution protocol was developed. ARP takes the IP address of a host as an input and it gives its corresponding physical address as the output. There are three methods for obtaining the physical addresses based on an IP address. The first is the table lookup. Here the mapping information between IP address and their corresponding physical addresses stored in the table in the computer memory. The network software uses this table when it needs to find out physical addresses. Second, closed form computation. Using carefully computed algorithm, the IP addresses can transformed into their corresponding physical addresses by performing some fundamental arithmetic and Boolean operation on them. So this one is the diagram for the ARP. So we have to give the IP address as the input. Then using this protocol, they are finding the physical address for the corresponding IP address. So input is the IP address is there and output is the physical address is there. So in that, how they are finding the this physical address? There is a message exchanging is occurred in the computers. In the first one, which device it requires their physical address, they are sending their IP address. A node whose IP address is this one, and they are requesting for the physical address. Then this message is received by all the devices, and these all the devices is matching itself with this IP address. If suppose any one of the host is matches this IP address, then that device only gives the response for the host. Yes, I am having this IP address with my physical address this one. They are giving the response for the device. That is the ARP response is there. That is a message exchange between the devices. And using this method only, they are finding the physical address. Now, that is one is we have to see in the detail. Anytime a host or router needs to find the physical address of another host on its network, it creates a special datagram called ARP query datagram and includes the IP address of the destination whose physical address is needed. This special datagram is then broadcasted over the network as shown in the figure. Every host in the network receives this datagram, even if the destination physical address is absent. This is because broadcast request, which means that datagram should go to all the hosts in the network. Every host then checks the IP address of the destination mentioned in the ARP query datagram with its own. If it does not match, then it discard it. However, if it is matches, it sends back its physical address to the original node. Thus, only one of the hosts on the network will respond to the ARP query datagram as shown in the figure. Now we will see the address mapping here. It is the process of assigning map coordinate location to the address in a database. In this we will see the explanation different methods of obtaining in the physical address based on the IP addresses. So like that you are getting the question. So for this question you have to write the answer as already I explained, that is a ARP solution. Now this protocol is that is a address resolution protocol. For this also you have to explain the same thing. Just only definition of the address resolution you have to define extra. Now we will see the RARP, that is the reverse address resolution protocol is that. The RARP is used to obtain the IP address of the host based on its physical address. That is, it performs a job that is exactly opposite to that of the ARP need. A host should have IP address stored on hard disk. However, there are situations where there is not in case that is he don't know the address, that is the IP address. So firstly in this one it may be get in different situations. Firstly, that is a host may not have a hard disk at all. That is a one situation is there, and that is a maybe that a hardless workstation is there. Secondly, when a new host is being connected to a network for a very first time, it does not know the its IP address. Finally, computer may be discarded and replaced by another computer, but the same network card could be reused. In all these situations, the computer does not know its own IP addresses. So to find that IP addresses, RARP protocol is used. So in this, the physical address is the input is there, and IP address is the output. In RARP, the host interested in knowing its IP address broadcasted an RARP query datagram on the network. This datagram contains its physical address. Every other computers on the network receives this datagram, and they are checking these addresses. All the computer except the centralized computer, that is the server, ignore this datagram. However, server recognize this special kind of the datagram, and it sends the broadcaster computer its IP address. The internet protocol, that is IP, provides unreliable and connection-less datagram delivery. The IP protocol is best effort delivery service that delivers a datagram from its original source to destination. So this one you are getting on this topic you are getting the question, that is a repeated question is there for the 5 marks. That is maybe either they are asking as a internet control, message protocol, otherwise a ICMP. Need and explanation is there. The IP protocol is a best effort delivery service that delivers a datagram from its original source to the destination. However, it has two deficiencies: lack of error control and lack of assistance mechanism. Need of ICMP. The ICMP protocol has no error correcting and error reporter mechanism. There are number of situations where an error has occurred and the IP protocol has no built-in mechanism to notify the original host. A host sometimes need to determine if the router or another host is alive or not, and sometimes a network administrator needs information from another host or a router. The Internet Control Message Protocol has been designed to compensate for all above deficiencies. It's a companion to the IP protocol. Now we will see the fragmentation and reassembly. An IP datagram can travel through a number of different networks on its way to the ultimate destination. During this process, the original IP datagram is fragmented into more than one IP datagram before encapsulating them inside hardware frames. When an IP datagram is fragmented into more than one IP datagram fragment, each of these fragments has its own header. As shown in below figure, the entire IP datagram becomes a data portion inside the hardware frame. However, the point is that an IP datagram could be fragmented several times before it reaches the ultimate destination. This is called as a fragmentation. So this one is the IP datagram. This IP datagram is divided into the number of the small packets only, and each one packet is having its own header with the data. Assembly. Fragmenting an IP datagram to accommodate it inside hardware frames. However, once they reach the destination, these fragments must be reassembled properly to create the original IP datagram. This process of recreating an IP datagram from its fragments is called as a reassembly. Now we will see the different fields of IP datagram. So in that there is a number of the fields are available, and each one field it's having the predefined bit lengths are there. So this one is the diagram for the data format. First field is the version. This field currently contains the value 4, which indicates IP version 4. In future, this field would contain 6 when IPv6 becomes used in the standard. Header length, that is HLEN, indicates the size of header in a multiple of 4-byte word. When the header size is 20 bytes, the value of this field is 5. That is 5 into 4 is equal to the 20. In the same way, the option field is a maximum size of 15 is there. So 15 into 4 means 60 is there. Means 20 to 60 bytes are used in the H length. Service type. This field is used to define service parameters such as priority of the datagram and the level of reliability. Next, total length. This field contains the total length of IP datagram. The maximum length is 65,536. Identification. The identification field is needed to allow the destination host to reassemble and recreate the original IP datagram. Flags. This is 3-bit field is there. The first bit of the 3 bits are reserved. The second bit is called to do not fragment bit. If this bit is set to the 1, it means that this IP datagram must not be fragmented. However, if this bit is contains 0, it means this IP datagram can be fragmented. The third bit in this field represents the more fragments bit. If it is set to the 1, it means that this is a fragment. And moreover, if it is not the last fragment of the IP datagram. Then next, fragmentation offset. This is useful when reconstructing the datagram from its fragments. Time to live. The time to live field is half counter used to limit packet lifetime. It counts time in seconds, allowing the maximum lifetime is 255 seconds. As the datagram travels through routers, this field is decremented each time. If the value in this field becomes 0, it is immediately discarded the packet. After all other datagrams have reached the destination, the TCP protocol operating at the destination will not found out about this missing datagram and will have to request for its retransmission. Protocol. This field identifies the transport protocol running on the top of IP after the datagram is constructed from its fragments. It has to be passed on to the upper layer software piece. This could be TCP or UDP is there. Header checksum. This 6-bit field contains the checksum for facilitating the error detection and correction. Source IP address. The field contains the 32-bit IP address of the sender. Destination address. This field contains the 32-bit IP address of the final destination. Data. The actual data is present here. Options. This field contains optional information such as routing details, timing, management and alignment. So these are the number of the fields of a datagram format. Now we will see the features of TCP. So first one is the reliability. As the transport layer has 4 important aspects. Error control. Data link layer achieves error control by using mechanisms such as checksum and CRC. If the two routers that connect two networks introduces some error, the data link layer does not detect them. So TCP provides its own error control mechanism at the transport layer and guarantees error-free delivery between the source and the destination. Loss control. Some of the packets may not reach to the destination. TCP find out and request to retransmission of missing packets. This is loss control. Sequence control. Packets are rearranged at a destination to get the original message. That is the sequence control. Duplication control. Duplicate packets are arrived at the destination. It accepts only first packet and reject all its duplicate copies. Point-to-point communication. This communication is full duplex, which means that both the participating computers can send message to the each other simultaneously. Connection-oriented approach. A logical connection is established between the source and destination before actual data transfer begins. the packet may travel from source to destination via different routes. Now we will see the concept of port and sockets. Port. Application running on different hosts communicate with the TCP with the help of concept called as a port. A port is a 16-bit unique number allocated to a particular application. When application on one computer wants to open a TCP connection with another application on a remote computer, the concept of port is useful. Sockets. A port identifies a single application on a single computer. The term socket is used to identify the IP address and the port number joined together. For example, port number is 80 on a computer and 192.20.10.10 would be referred as a IP address. So, socket address is first they should write the IP address and then they are writing the port address. 190.20.10.10.80. So whenever you are writing the port address, then after the IP address you should give the dot and then only you can write the you should give the colon and then only you can write the port address. That is 192.20.10.10 then colon and 80. And socket address we can get is like a IP address plus a port address. So this one with figure there is a explanation is there. An example is given here. An application A is running on computer X, wants to communicate with other application C running on the computer Y. The application A provides the IP address of computer Y, that is given here, and the port number corresponding to the application C, that is the 80, to a computer X. Using the IP address, computer X communicate with the computer Y. At this point, computer Y uses the port number and it redirect the message to the application C. Means application A is directly connected to the application C on the computer Y. Now we will see the UDP packet format. So in this there is a different fields are there. So this one field we have to see details. So on this start now you are getting the question. So you should draw this format and for each one field you have to explain. Source port address, it's a 16-bit address number is the port number is there. This is the port number corresponding to the application running on the source computer. Since it can take up to 2 bytes, it means that the source port number can be between 0 to 0 and 65,335. Destination port, it one also considered the 16 bits, that is 2 bytes are there. This port is number corresponding to the application running on the destination computer, since it can take up to 2 bytes only. Next, total packet length. This is a 2 byte field defines a total length of the UDP packet, that is header plus data actually. This field is not required at all because there is a similar packet length field in the IP packet which encapsulated a UDP packet inside it before the sending it to the destination. Therefore, the following equation is true. UDP packet length is equal to the IP packet length minus IP header length. However, this field is retained in the UDP packet header as the additional checksum. This field is used for error detection and correction. Now we will see the TCP packet format. So in this also there is a number of the fields are available. So each one field we will see the detail. So whenever you have to describe this packet format, then you should draw this diagram and then give the explanation of each field. First we will see the source port number, that is a 16-bit. This port is this port number corresponding to the application running on the source computer. Destination port number. This is the port number corresponding to the application running on the destination computer. Sequence number. It is 32-bit. This 4-byte field defines the number assigned to the first byte of the data portion contained in the TCP packet. Acknowledgement number, that is also 32-bit length is there. It is a destination host receives a packet with a sequence number X correctly. It sends X plus 1 as the acknowledgement number back to the source. Header length. This is a 4-bit header length is there. This 4-bit specifies the number of 4 bytes word in this TCP header. The header length can be between 20 and 60 bytes. Therefore, the value of this field can be between 5 and 15. Next, reserved bit, that is a 6-bit. This field is reserved for the future and currently unused. Flags, that is a 6-bit flags are available. This 6-bit field defines 6 different control flags, each one of them occupying 1 bit. Of the 6 flags, 2 are most important. That is a synchronous flag, that is a SYN flag. This flag is used when TCP connection is being established between 2 hosts. FIN, that is a finish. This flag is set the sender wants to terminate the current TCP connection. Next is the window size, that is also 16-bit length is there. This field determines the size of the sliding window that the other party must maintain. Checksum. This field is used for error detection and error correction. Urgent pointer. This field is used in situation where some data in a TCP packet is more important or urgent than other data in the same TCP connection. Options. Options are available for a variety of functions. Data. This field contains the actual message to be transmitted. So these are the number of the fields of TCP packet. So on this also you are getting the repeated question. So you should draw the packet format and for the each one field you have to give the explanation. Now we will see the differences between the TCP and UDP. First, TCP. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. TCP. It is connection-oriented protocol. Connections is established between source and destination before actual data transfer begins. UDP. It is connectionless protocol which allows a computer to exchange data without establishing logical connection between the source and destination. TCP sophisticated protocol. It provides a number of features for error control and error correction, and it gives the accurate delivery of the data. UDP is a far simpler protocol. It does not provide any of the features providing by the TCP. TCP is reliable. UDP is unreliable. TCP is preferred when reliability is required or it's important. UDP is preferred when speed of delivery is important. In the case of TCP, the server is called current. It means that simultaneously server and request of multiple elements. In case of UDP, the server is called iterative. It means that a server can process only one request at a time. TCP connectionless in byte stream. UDP is a connection in message stream. TCP supports full duplex transmission. UDP does not support full duplex transmission. TCP packets called segments. UDP packets is called user datagram. So these are the questions you are getting in this chapter.